Good morning once again. I wanted to continue with our series. I remember that we were doing direct and indirect, and rule 1, as I told you, says if you find a sentence that is in simple present, you have to convert that sentence into simple past. Okay? Most of you remember that all these sentences that I'm talking about, they all have a particular formula. So you have to be very careful and very comfortable with those formulas in order for you to recognize, first of all, what is present simple sentence. Okay, those who don't know, present simple, just in short, is subject plus verb 1. Okay, so you have to change that. If you're reporting it, that is, you're putting it in indirect speech, you have to change that formula into a subject plus verb 2. Instead of subject plus verb 1, the formula change into subject plus verb 2. Okay, rule number 2, direct to indirect. Rule number 2 was simple past. If you find a sentence that is in simple past, that is a sentence that has this formula, subject plus verb 2. Okay, you're supposed to change that into past perfect. The formula for past perfect is subject plus auxiliary verb had plus verb 3. Okay, that is rule number 2. Rule number 3 was present perfect. Okay, if you find a sentence that is in present perfect, you're supposed to change that sentence into past perfect again. The formula for past perfect again is subject plus had plus verb 3. Okay, so today we continue with rule number 4. Okay, so let's pay a little bit attention on this because this is new. Last time we looked at rule number 1, rule number 2, and rule number 3. So today we're looking at rule number 4. Okay guys, rule number 4 says if you find a sentence that is in past perfect, okay, remember, formula for past perfect is subject plus had plus verb 3. So if you find a sentence like I had played football, I had played football. If somebody says I had played football, if you have to report this sentence, it has to be that is, if you want to put it in indirect sentence, or you want to report it, you have to change that. Actually, you don't have to change that. Why? Because the formula says if you find a sentence that is in past perfect, you leave it like the way it is. So you're just gonna say he said that. Okay, he said that he had played football. Okay, he said that he had played football. So basically, that is rule number 4, which we saw that there is really nothing much changing, but you have to report it by using those expression, that is common expression. He said that. Okay, thank you very much. I think that is well understood. Okay, so we go ahead. We're looking at formula number 5. Formula number 5 says if you find a sentence that has will. Okay, for those who remember, when we look will is we normally use in future sentence, especially simple future. Okay, so with simple future, what you need to do is instead of will, you will have to use would. Okay, for example, if somebody says, okay, or said, I will go to the market, that sentence is automatically understood as a sentence in future tense. But if you have to report it, or put it in indirect speech, okay, you will have to remove will and put would instead. So if somebody says, I will go to the market, if you have to report this one, you will say, he said that I would go to the market, or she said that she would go to the market. So basically, that is our formula number 5. Okay, I hope that is clear. And guys, remember, formulas are very important. Okay, so we're just going to cross over. You guys know that we have sentences or tenses that we refer to them as progressive forms. Okay, these sentences or tenses are in progressive form. If you find a sentence that is in progressive form, for example, a present continuous tense sentence, you also have to be able to convert that into indirect speech. For example, if somebody says, I am going to school. If somebody says, you are playing football. If somebody says, she is walking to the market. Okay, if you have to report this, the formula says, that means all these sentences that I mentioned, for those who understand the formulas, they know that I was actually talking about a sentence that is in present continuous. Present continuous, the formula is subject plus am or are or is. Okay, am, are, and is are auxiliary verbs that we normally use in present continuous tense sentence. So, and you remember, when you use a present continuous tense, you have to make sure that your verbs have ing, okay, at the end. Okay, that is, we call gerund. Okay, we call gerund form. Okay, so basically they say, if you find am or are or is in your sentence, you have to if you have to convert that sentence into indirect speech, you use was instead of what? Instead of am. Instead of am and is, you use was. Okay, but are, you have to change it into where. Okay, so for example, I am going to the market. Okay, she said. I am going to the market, she said. Okay, if I have to report that or tell somebody else, I will say, she said that she was going to the market. If the sentence was, they are playing football, they are playing football. If I have to change that sentence, I will say, okay, he said that they were playing football. You see, instead of are, I put were. Instead of is, I put was. Okay, so those are formulas that I wanted to cover today in this episode. That is formula number 4, which says, if you find a sentence that is in past perfect, you have to change it into past. You don't have to change it, it stays in past perfect. Okay, if you find a sentence that use will, you remove will, you use would. That is formula number 5. Formula number 6 says, if you find a progressive form sentence, that is a sentence that use am or are or is, okay, you have to remove am or are or is and use was or were instead. Okay, so that is formula number 6. Okay guys, thank you very much. I hope everybody really got something out of this episode. I want to make sure that we will continue, let you know that we will continue with the rest. Okay, we're going to see formula number 7, if I'm not mistaken, 8 and 9. Okay, so stay tuned for the next one. I hope we will finish this direct and indirect, and everybody is feeling very comfortable with this, because they're very important. If you look at it, we always report, okay, information that you meet somebody at the market and he tell you something, you have to go and tell somebody else. If you have to do that, then you will have no choice but to use indirect sentence, or sometimes you use direct sentence. So guys, remember, be very comfortable with tenses, because we're going to really deal with them in so many occasions. Thank you very much guys. I'll see you next time.